You're all welcome. My name is Chidimma. I'm the legal practitioner.
Please, sharply and very fast, let us know who are again. Start for me.
We are representing global news media.
Madam.
Thank you so much, gentlemen and ladies of the media. What we have today is, let me start like open club. We are inviting you today. This is the 10th time in less than 6 months. We are converging for this important media briefing. Record that on 25th December we assembled you here and ourselves to talk about the state of democracy in Nigeria prior to the 2023 general elections. And on 19th, that one was specifically focused on INEC and his 2023 election briefing. And on 19th of February, we convert you guys and ourselves again in furtherance of the final punch regarding the 2023. Okay. Regarding the So regarding the 2023 election, which we are conducted, and all of us saw what happened, the elections, prior to the elections, and the justifications associated with our electoral advocacy. So now we are bringing you people and all of us together again. For purpose of this time around, we are going to talk about a world-class database on the southeast, specifically Imo State. A lot have happened in Imo State in the past 29 months. Or January 2021 to this particular month being May 2023. So So today we are here for purpose of presenting or unveiling a world-class report or database concerning what is happening in Imo. Let's have one house. It is a settled principle in the field of criminology and the law that when a despicable act is perpetrated, or a crime, or a heinous crime is perpetrated, and it is not investigated and documented, then in the eyes of the two field of study, no crime has been committed and no perpetrator identified, as well as the victims of the crime said to have been committed. So in line with this, and as professionals in the two fields, we cannot fold our hands and allow only media reportage of what is happening in Imo, which is a case study of what is happening in the southeast. And that is why today we are unveiling a special research and investigative report on the goings on in Imo State. This time around, we are focusing strictly on grisly and egregious human rights abuses and violations in the past 29 months in Imo State. And what we are trying to do is to having critically look at various reports, media reports, and so on and so forth about killings, house burnings, this, that in Imo State. We saw a vacuum created, and that vacuum is certain critical questions have not gotten answers. I have always said that the conscience of every society is the media and the civil society organizations. A society where only media functions and without the effort or complementary hands of the civil society organization, various civil society organizations, then that society runs the high risk of being transformed into dictatorship and tyranny. That explains why Cameroon and other countries are today function today as fully transformed dictatorial and tyrannical society. So that's what we are doing today. So we don't want to allow that situation to take place. We as members of leading civil society organizations must be nihilistic and remain strong, unpurchasable, and uncompromising in matters like this. And that is why we have taken the pen to take a critical study of what is going on in Imo State. Who are those killing who in Imo State? Who are those people being killed in Imo State? And why are they being killed? And when and how are they being killed? Properties are being burned down in Imo State, destroyed, or pillaged, or looted in Imo State. Who are the owners of those properties? Is it correct in the eyes of the law for properties that belong to defenseless civilians to be burned down or destroyed or pillaged or looted? Under what circumstances? What are the provisions of the law or legal framework about what is going on in Imo State? So totality of this is what the inter-society study has taken a critical look at, and today we are unveiling a report that is 33 pages a critical report, a report that is rested within the confines of empiricism, a report that will be very difficult to be challenged negatively or criticized, intellectually criticized negatively. So this report has all the things you need to know about what is going on in Imo. So 33 pages in all, with 6 pages imbued as the executive summary. So what we are going to do is to look at the 6 pages, then touch few others contained in other pages. The title of this report is "In 29 Months," that is January 2021 to May 2023, a period of 29 months under Uzodinma as governor. Security forces and allied militias killed 900 unarmed citizens, wounded 700, arbitrarily arrested 3,500, extorted and freed 1,400, disappeared 300, burned down 1,200 civilian homes, displaced their 30,000 owners, and forced 500,000 citizens in active age bracket to flee, to escape being shot and killed, or abducted and disappeared in security custody. The number 2 is for state actors, armed state actors, the police, the army, DSS, what have you. Then second one has to do with armed non-state actors, like Fulani, Jihadists, Counterfeit, Agitators, death squad, street criminal, violent criminal entities, etc. They have been found to have jointly killed not less than 700, including 400 killed in captivity and 300 killed in open shooting, and abducted 900 others. This is the situation, the summation of the situation, the dicey situation, security situation of human rights reform in Imo. So if you look at under the executive summary, 1,500, a total of 3,500 people, civilian, unarmed. The essence of this press conference is open our eyes because nobody knows it all. And in most cases, media practitioners do not know what it means to say somebody is an unarmed or defenseless and somebody is armed. And sometimes some media guys will highlight or give a kind of reportorial prominence to policemen killed, soldiers killed, as killing civilians or defenseless, and defenseless others are a routine and a norm. It is not true. Within the context of international law, in any situation of armed conflict or armed violence, the casualties related to emanating from or arising from fighting parties are not technically counted. That's the reason why they say you differentiate between a defenseless civilian, a defenseless citizen, or an armed citizen, and somebody another person that is regimented, somebody who is armed, whether he belongs to state actor, armed entities, or non-state actor, armed entities. These are technicalities that we need to know. Very, very technical. In most cases, we tend to ignore them. I remember sometimes in 2020 or 2021, there was an attack, military attack at Owerri. And somebody called me and said, "Comrade, Do you realize a respected media practitioner for that matter? Do you realize what we are talking about? A DPO was killed. Do you know what it means to kill a DPO? I said DPO was killed. So what is the position of the law, international law, since you are lecturing me? Every life lost is condemnable. Every life lost is condemnable. But in the eyes of the international law, that is why the international law outline laws of war, laws of international conflict. And in the context of international conflict, we have interstate and intra. The international law specifies that. They say, just like misunderstanding, the law is that misunderstanding is inevitable. When two persons start a relationship, misunderstanding becomes inevitable. That is to say, one day they will misunderstand. Even an individual can misunderstand herself or himself. And when that kind of situation occurs and it gets to aggravating situation, we can now have what we call suicide, self-emulation, and what have you, post-traumatic stress disorder, and things like that. So it is inevitable. But what the theorists are saying is the handling style, that the misunderstanding can be constructively transformed or destructively transformed, or constructively or transformatively, constructively transformed. So the handling style is the bone of contention and not the misunderstanding, because it is there even from the womb. When a woman is pregnant and the child at a point is not kicking, then something is wrong. And when the child starts kicking, the child has started protesting, and so on and so forth. So we must have to know the availability of these technical provisions under the international law. So in Imo State, what the angle we are coming from is who are those killing? From the angle, like I have explained, there are two categories of killers in Imo. Two major categories. The armed state actors. I hope you know what we mean by armed state actors. And armed non-state actors. And in this report, we identify the armed non-state actors, their number to 8 of them. The armed non-state actors killing people in Imo State are 8 in number. As simple as that. Then you now have armed state actors. The army, the police, STS, anti-cultism, IRT, name them. Bunkering, what have you? These squad have been identified empirically as being involved in the killings in Imo. So that's what this report tends to. So now 3,500, because from the point of suspicion to the point of arrest, investigation, indictment, prosecution, and what have you, sentencing, they are all thoroughly examinable under the law. And the law also made us to understand that the status of a criminal is internationally standardized. Who is a criminal? So when you begin to say, oh, because this man is an Igbo man, is a criminal, that is what we call class criminalization. And it's very internationally abominable. When you begin to say, oh, this woman is from Ikwele in River State, you are now hunting her because she is from Ikwele. And that's what we call ethnic profiling, forced labeling, and what have you. And our reports have been able to identify all these things. So 3,500 people unarmed. The law is very clear on how to handle unarmed. For instance, when you arrest somebody unarmed and take the person into the custody, if you kill the person there, it becomes unlawful execution. But here it is done with utmost alacrity. Policemen kill, and so on and so forth. Anyhow, with reckless abandon. and with impunity. That's what we are witnessing in Imo State and by extension the Southeast. So 3,500 people were arrested in 29 months in Imo State, at least conservatively speaking. And out of these 3,500, we have 1,400 of them as those that were heavily extorted before being freed. If you go through the document, you will see the evidence or pieces of evidence. Meanwhile, as we are rolling out this report, you can see the highlights there, some of the highlights. They are all there. They are newsworthy. So having said that, so let's then turn to page 2. You will see armed state actors, killings and burnings, displaced 30,000 and the first 500,000 to flee. These 500,000 people are people in active age bracket. They have fled Imo. They no longer come back to Imo. That's what the killings in Imo State. And the 30,000 people have also been displaced. People chased out of their homes. Innocent people chased out of their homes. Then, under this, you have the burning, the details about the burning of 1,200 civilian homes in Imo State in 29 months. Then another one, families no longer bury their dead in Imo. I remember in Imo State, we investigated and found out that approximately 80 communities in at least 20 of the state 27 local government areas are worst hit. Their names are here in the report, so that we save time. So, I think we have to continue. Okay. So, now, families no longer bury their dead in Imo. I don't know if you are aware that funerals in Imo State are now being organized in urban centers. In Onitsha, in Owerri, in Enugu, in Port Harcourt. So when people die, they will smuggle those people, they will hire third party and pay the third party. Then the third party will facilitate burial of the dead at the hours of the blue law. After that, then their funerals will now be organized in maybe in Port Harcourt, at least in Onitsha, for instance, as a case study. I witnessed four funerals in Owerri local government alone this year, involving people who were killed, who died naturally or unnaturally in Imo State, in those areas that were worst hit. So it's too bad. So if you look under these families no longer buried their dead, you will see the local governments or communities mostly affected. Then armed state actors killed 600 persons unlawfully in Imo. That is unarmed persons, defenseless citizens. And they made 300 others to be, that is, they killed 600 defenseless citizens in, secretly, and 300 in open shooting. So you go through it, you will see the details under that paragraph. Then we have been also established, their investigation unveiled or unmasked the killer squad, the state killer squad involved. We have police, under Nigerian police force, we have and the number of people killed, all here under that paragraph. You have the SWAT, you have the RRS, SWAT is Special Weapons and Tactics Squad, formerly Anti-Robbery Squad, SAS. You have RRA, Rapid Response Squad. You have Intelligence Response Squad, or IRT. You have Special Tactical Squad, Anti-Terrorism, Anti-Kidnapping, Anti-Cultism, and so on and so forth. Then you have the personnel of the 34th Obinze in Imo State. They're also part of those, the killers, the killing squad, the state actor killer squad. You look at it to see the number of people they killed, and so on and so forth. Then another one is armed state actors attacked and razed 200 synagogues and 300 traditional sanctuaries. You know, one thing we have not told you people is that the killings in Imo are as a result of failed intelligence, failed preventive policing, failed criminal investigation. I'm aware that the Nigerian Police Force Science Laboratory, that is forensic department, is moribund. I'm aware of that. We have a security expert here, a computer security expert. The Nigerian Police Force Forensic Department is moribund. It is under that forensic department you have crime labs, you have ballistic, you have all this and all that. So it's moribund. And Nigerian Police Force is the most powerful policing agency in Nigeria, but the most failed. The Nigerian Army and other members of the armed forces, you must know this, are the most restricted security agencies in Nigeria in terms of power. Their powers are very limited, but they cross over. They always cross red line. So, but the police that is most powerful has also willfully failed. Now, what is happening in the place of this failure? Use of, what do you call it? Hearsay conclusions, false labeling, class criminalization, stigmatization, ethnic profiling, and so on and so forth. You are wearing tattoo. Look at it. Look at the kind of bag you are. You are a criminal. You are IPOB terrorist. You are this. You will be killed, and before you know it, the person is instantly killed. No investigation, nothing. No intelligence, nothing. No evidence. No indictable evidence. I can't remember the last time Nigerian police. I'm not talking of army because army is out of it at all. By law, army cannot even investigate or detain or prosecute civilians or citizens of Nigeria that are not subject to the Armed Forces Act of 2004. So I'm talking about the police that has all the squad in the world in this country. I can't remember the last time the Nigerian Police Force started the investigation, at least in the past 5 years. Started the investigation on serious allegations and concluded it. Those of you in the media, you have been interacting with the police. You said, we are investigating. Asking them the outcome of that investigation, whether that investigation is conclusive or inconclusive, is a different ballgame. They don't conclude. And again, you ask yourself, all this brouhaha, all this heinous crime, IPOB terrorism, this, that, and what have you, how many convictions have Nigerian Police Force secured in the Southeast since 2015? I want you people to engage the police, the top officials of the police, and ask them that question. How many convictions have they secured against all this blah, 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 and all that? So you find out that what are we contesting? We are not against the police and security agencies performing their jobs. But you must have to do that within the confines of the law. You don't leave the fighting parties, turn blind eye on fighting parties, and face innocent civilians, defenseless civilians. And when you take somebody unarmed into custody, you are bound to protect the person and give and allow the person access, or provide the person what we call all the custodial liberties. But this time they arrest, they torture, they kill, they shoot, and all that. And that is what is happening in Imo State, and by extension the Southeast. Like I said, the synagogues, it is against the international law. If you go to what we call the laws of the war, laws of armed conflict, that's the Geneva Conventions of 1949, and is three protocols of 1977. If you go there, it is forbidden for religious sanctuaries, symbols of worship, civilian houses to be attacked or destroyed or looted. It is a serious crime under international law. In fact, burning properties that do not constitute what we call military necessity amounts to what we call domicide. It is a crime of domicide. And the Nigerian police and the other security agencies are perpetrating that with utter alacrity or reckless abandon. To the extent that in Imo State, in 29 months, 200 synagogues and 300 traditional sanctuaries have been destroyed or burned down. Why? Because they say that there is this false narrative that is part of class criminalization, that members of loyalists of Unarmed and Co are faithful, belong to white garment, is it Sabbatarian church or Sabbath church or something like that? And what have you? So those people that call their churches synagogues, and therefore all members, anybody belonging to that particular church. In fact, they have an association called African Instituted Churches as a member, as a branch of the Christian Association of Nigeria. So anybody attending that church or what have you is labeled IPOB terrorist or sponsor or a herbalist providing charms for IPOB and what have you. And this has been going on to the extent that in Imo State you saw it, 200 synagogues burned down. No evidence, no investigation, nothing. Then 300 sanctuaries, traditional sanctuaries. That one, it's a Harvard, it's IPOB, it's the ESN, charms provider. Just like that. And that has been the problem. Instead of doing the needful. So, under the international law, it amounts to congregation and aggregation of this amounts to crimes against humanity. Or if you like, you can call it war crimes and other internationally prohibited conduct or acts. And they are being perpetrated here with reckless abandon in Nigeria here, particularly in Imo State. Then we are talking about class criminalization and reprisal as being responsible for all the killings by armed state actors in the Southeast. Reprisal. We've seen it, we've read it in several media. In fact, as a matter of fact, in 2001, the late Chief of Army Staff issued a directive and told soldiers to go to Southeast villages and villages where military personnel are killed and deal with them. That is a height of class criminalization. You don't do that. Even when you go to the house of somebody, if somebody is reasonably suspected of being in conflict with the law, felonious crime, you don't have right to set the family house ablaze go after the person and not the family house. It's not every member of that family that is a criminal or a suspected criminal. You don't do that. But here you see them setting houses ablaze. When you ask, yes, it's the house of ESN wanted ESN commander or IPOB terrorist, IPOB member. By the way, by law, nobody has right to kill any member of IPOB that is unarmed. IPOB as an organization does not bear arm. The law says if you are looking for a suspect and the law provides circumstances under which you can open fire, such as when the person is armed and in active service with his arm, assuming you want to arrest him, the person open fire. The law says you can use proportional force. Proportional force. That is why you have international law. Fundamental international part of international law is what we call legitimate self-defense, use of force, and proportionality of force. But here you see an unarmed person relaxing himself with the when Abi. You see some people, some squad going there, open fire on the person. When you why say is an IPO suspected IPOB member. IPOB is you cannot kill every Muslim in the mosque and tag them Boko Haram. You cannot go to mosque and burn down a mosque and say it's a training ground for Boko Haram. It's outlawed, but here they do it. Even to the parents of traditional rulers and some Christian compacts. These are the points we are trying to raise here. So you read through, then in this east here, in Imo, particularly by extension east, we have 13 of every 15 openly killed in Imo are unarmed. That's our investigative finding. 15 out of every 15 secretly killed are unarmed. You know what? Once you take somebody into custody, automatically the person is unarmed. You are expected to process the person to the point of the person being transformed, legitimately transformed into a criminal by way of suspicion, by way of arrest, by way of detention within the confines of the law, by way of prosecution, and by way of sentencing by a court of competent jurisdiction. But here, the reverse is the case. Then in terms of non-state actors in Imo have killed because you don't just, if it will be unfair for you to really report the killings by armed state actors. What about non-state actors? So we have also identified non-state actors in Imo as being responsible for killing of not less than 700 defenseless civilians or citizens in 29 months. Mark my word, in 29 months. By the way, why is it 29 months? 29 months translate to from January 2021 to May 2023. 29 months in the sense that the forebearer, and thank God I nearly forgot to mention this, the forebearer, the remote causes of the Imo house burnings, mass murders, and what have you, have to do with the controversial judgment of the Supreme Court delivered on 14th January 2020. That was where the voting started. Now, after that judgment, a lot of people expressed dissatisfaction. And what was the judgment? The judgment, the Supreme Court of Nigeria magisterially coronated the present governor as the governor of Imo State by bringing in result and legitimizing result from 388 polling units that are unknown to what? To INEC. And you know, I'm a controversial comrade, I don't speak. Prior to that judgment, there was a controversial priest from Catholic Church that was presidentially contracted to say, I see hope in Imo. But as a born again, within the confines of being controversial, I will not mention his name. I see hope in Imo. Though this thing put together led to what is happening in Imo today. Now it has become, I see hopelessness in Imo. So that's the thing. And that should be a warning to those members of, in the hallowed chambers of justice regarding the pending cases, which I will not mention. That should be a warning. The Boda Yogori Bomo will say, I tear shit, I no agree, I tear shit. I can be governor and nothing will happen. Now somebody has become governor. What is happening in Imo? The future of Imo in ruin, the future of his own destroyed, everything destroyed. So it's not about clinching on power and say, you are the governor. What about the circumstances? How do your people feel? What about the normal ways of life, the economic activities, and so on and so forth, the political stability, the security and things like that? Now Imo is in deep crisis because of that singular mistake. So the non-state actors are also responsible for abduction of 900 civilians, and out of which 300 were killed in captivity. 900 civilians abducted in 29 months, 300 killed in captivity. And those 300 killed in captivity are technically described as or called disappearances, victims of what? Disappearances. When you read it through, then calling for international criminal inquiries. This every paragraph in this 33-page report is very, very seductive, inviting and irresistible. It is so tempting that it's a must read. That's what I mean. So now we are calling for international criminal inquiry. That is because after exposing this thing, the next thing is, what is your prayer? As lawyers, we always ask, what is your prayer? What are your prayers? Sorry. Now, calling for international criminal inquiries and indictment in Imo. So under this arrangement, we are now, the inter-society is joining forces to call for international criminal inquiries in Imo State, because we have established the fact that sufficiently that crimes against humanity, war crimes, and the other internationally prohibited acts or conduct have taken place in Imo, and the Imo people must be saved. So there is need for international inquiry to take place in Imo, and this international inquiry and sanctions too. It's not only by putting somebody behind bars that you know that you have punished a person. International entitlements, the person is entitled to, if the person is a top military or security officer. So there are so many things that they do in the course of their career pursuit. And when you are able to present this type of indictment document, then definitely it is a very serious punishment on them or against them. We have tested it and we have seen it happening severally. I know a number of them that participated in one way or the other in grisly and egregious human rights abuses in Nigeria since 2015 that can no longer cross international borders. One of them did whatever he could to get contract, international HM programs, scholarship, fellowship, this, that, and what have you. It became difficult. He came back and one go his way. The authorities now say, okay, come, let us make you head of the oversight function that supervises the Nigerian police force. I will not mention the full name. So that's the thing. So the under the international criminal inquiries, we are calling on, and also starting with the visa ban, we are calling on US, Canada, Australia, UK, EU, France, Germany, and Southeast Asia, like South Korea, Taiwan, and so on and so forth, for them to beam their satellite on the people we talked about. Then again, very strongly, we are calling on the Chief Prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, Honorable Karim A. Khan, a UK, from UK, President of ICC, George, a Polish Vice President of ICC, and the second Vice President to do the needful on Imo State and the Southeast region. Our calling on ICC to intervene is grounded in Nigeria being signatory to ICC and having signed and ratified the ICC statute in 2001 in furtherance of Nigeria's international rights and obligations, and to prosecute and judicially convict the perpetrators, which they have failed to do. So then we're also calling on Nigeria, on the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights at Geneva and in New York to intervene jointly by joint or separate investigations through the UN UN Human Rights Special Rapporteurs, like, for instance, the rapporteur on summary, arbitrary, and extrajudicial executions of killing, the special rapporteur on the arbitrary detention, the special rapporteur on torture and the other inhuman and degrading treatment of punishment, the special rapporteur on involuntary or enforced disappearances, and special rapporteur on the right to adequate housing, and so on and so forth, to do the needful. Then the likes of Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, and others are also called to intervene by way of investigation and the presentation of their report on Imo State, killings in Imo. Then finally, others are legal framework. If you go through this, you will see the legal framework, guiding the operations. We have operations of security forces and the other non-state actors in Imo State. And from there you can see the statistics, supporting statistics, the names of the victims of disappearances, names of victims of arbitrary arrest, names of the victims of torture, and names of the victims of open killings. They're all here. Then the special investigation we conducted in Osun local government area and the Olu local government area of Imo State about the civilian house burning on domicile in Imo. You can see the video here. The video we gathered at the end of it all. We also see the link to the special documentary regarding that special investigation. It's here included in this report. Then finally, the impunity, the aspect that has to do with impunity, hardening the perpetrators in Imo is also here. Then finally, the key perpetrators, those who are involved in the Imo mass murders, abductions, disappearances, house burnings, and other arbitrary arrests and detention, and other internationally prohibited acts. That is the content in the last page, being page 33. The perpetrators, those involved in Imo. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I think we'll take a few comments and questions. Okay, now.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Dr. Ebubeagu. I work with Punch. My question is, one, I have to commend Inter Society for work pressure. At least they still remain the only voice in the Southeast by doing their best to bring out conduct across streets of the security agencies. That's what I want to ask Inter Society, whether they are officially petition with this evidence presented to us today to the International Criminal Court. Because I know that there is a signal. It's not just falling here for them to do their satellite in Imo State. Whether this document will have forwarded it to them officially and whether they have acknowledged it. That is one. Secondly, I know that Inter Society they have some partners like other international agencies, whether they have or you call it even the families of those have been victims of this crime, whether they can approach Nigerian court, whether they will give justice in the different of petition, whether they have initiated, because I know that my office did some investigation in Imo State, which was realized, and if you, I know that society also participated in that report, and the Nigerian security agencies, they have not disputed it up to date, and that investigation still stands. Our report still stands. The claims in Imo State. And since it is like that, that report still exists. I've not heard from any Igbo elite, either Obinze, either Uzodinma, or whatever, come out to condemn or demand justice for those people who killed. I've not heard from them. Even the Imo State millionaires and billionaires, we have not heard from them to come out to say, this is a report, one of the best newspapers in Nigeria conducted, and nobody, not even military police, have denied the report. Okay. And nobody has questioned that report from the Southeast here. It's not, what we are doing is not a what we do. Continue with this. Thank you.
It's okay. Let me come. You will ask. Okay. You will ask. Let me answer. One, it's not. We don't do things. It's not an effort in futility. You know why we do this? We do this because we know the law, and we know the law because we are knowledgeable. It's not a boast. So we never engage in any effort that is rested in futility. And let me tell you about crime, perpetration of crime. It has no expiring date. The only thing that will make a crime to expire is when that crime is not investigated, documented, and archived. Once it is investigated, documented, and archived, it has no expiring date. I remember the former president of Chad, Hebrew. 20-30 years after he stepped down, he was ousted as the president of Chad. He was arrested and tried by AU-UN joint tribunal, sitting in the capital of Senegal, And from there, he was sentenced to life imprisonment. And he's presently serving a life imprisonment. The only thing that will make the whole thing injurious is when that crime is perpetrated and it is not investigated and documented. Court is not an entertainment arena. So our effort will never be in futility. Then about we can't do all. Nobody knows it all. Nobody does it all. What we do, the greatest task is what we are performing or what we have performed. And that greatest task is to put this thing together. It is believed that once this database is out, then it can be taken to the next critical stage by other stakeholders. Because by unveiling this particular report, it has become a document, an international document. As for moving forward, yes, it's a process. This thing is just started. It's a process. And owing to the fact that it's a process, it's going to be taken to many quarters. The ICC are talking about the UN rapporteurs, like we mentioned here, and other things. But first of all, let us unveil the report first. Then again, another question, you ask another question about the issue of litigation, whether retributive justice or compensatory justice or what have you. It still boils down to my point. Now let us get this document out first. When they come, okay, Obadiwe said, when the comes to the come, we do what? We become. So when it is time for, everything has time. You look at the government that is expiring in Nigeria. You look at the consequences, atrocities, and what have you they have committed. And look at the fears inflicted on the polity and what have you, and the public and what have you. So you put all these things together. But what we have done is to courageously put this thing out. So it's a global document, so it's not going to expire. Then I forgot to say something that is very important. I'm sure I didn't mention it because I know if I mentioned, I'm mentioning it now. Some of you will ask a question regarding what happened in Anambra State a few days ago. That is an example, a clear case of that is failed intelligence, false labeling. People, members of US, I'm a fellow of the United States Department of State, class of 2013. So, but you know me, I can't say when is. I can't say it is was. I don't do that. So, talking about what happened in Anambra State, media have been reporting all sorts of versions. Government of Anambra State saying, somebody drew my attention, government saying those people went to assess a erosion site and blah, blah, blah. And I keep wondering, where in Owerri has Owerri been listed as a major erosion site in Anambra State? When you talk of erosion site or erosion menace, you talk of the hinterland in Anambra State, where there are those communities, Obosi, Oko, Umunze, and what have you. So Owerri is a riverine area. All those ones. So, but I must tell you something. I don't know what happened. I don't want to know what happened. But what I know is that the security forces, security agencies and government must be able to feed people, to feed the public with the correct information. The consulate, as I know, the US consulate, as I know, has restricted movement. If they want to visit, they have met with us, with me in particular, 7 times in 5 years. So if they want to come, it's either they want to meet with the civil society, leading civil society in Anambra State, for instance, likewise in Enugu State, or they want to meet with Obi of Onitsha. He's a very prominent and respected traditional leader. Or they want to meet with Commissioner of Police or Governor of the state. I don't know what led to that kind of trip in Owerri. What happened? What is in Owerri? US consulate or embassy officials? Are they UNICEF or are they what are those humanitarian agencies? Are they? I don't know. So what happened? But I want to ask a question. I want to throw this question. I will not. Let me put it in form of question. Is it not correct to say that there are numerous private armies presently existing in Owerri. Is it not correct to say that those private armies exist in Owerri because there is an industrial scale illegal oil mining in Owerri? Is it not correct to say that at the scene of that mining, you have more than 150 soldiers guarding that place? Is it not correct to say that though that mining was being mined from the backyard of Anambra State through Imo Anambra rivers, what do you call it? River boundary, what have you, and Anambra Imo, terrestrial, and the river boundary. So, what happened? So, why the 150 soldiers, if it is correct? Is it normal? If the mining is legal, why the 150 soldiers? Is Anambra State aware of that mining? Who and who is mining, is behind the mining, the illegal mining, so to say? And is it not possible that the youth of the community, having felt, threatened with, militarism and militancy, now decided to react militarily or militantly? These are the things. And is it correct to say, that in Anambra State, between Anambra, that is Oka, the capital city, and Ajah, that a high-profile kidnapping is going on there? Is it correct to say that in that part of Anambra, the private army or armies there have grown to sophistry to the extent of acquiring flying boats? Is it correct to say that, or is it not correct, or correct to say that the victims of those kidnapping were pushed from Oka into Achala, into the flying boat, and flown to the River Niger Creek under the watchful eyes of Nigerian Naval base in Owerri? Is it correct to say that the victims, after paying the ransom, are returned alive and what have you? And is it correct to say that the present government of Anambra State has some functionaries that are likely in the know of what is happening in Anambra State? Is it not correct to say, to ask the government of Anambra State that its top functionaries to search themselves? Because when a police officer comes to your house to search your house, what will you do, a lawyer? You will say, you have the right to say, let me search you. Is it correct? Then after searching him, then he can now go and search. In case he comes with incriminating evidence. I ask a question. Don't not say, I say. I ask questions. Thank you.
Your sympathy for IPOP was very well noted. I may thank you for it because whether anyone accepts or not, they are our brothers. And as far as they are not armed, nobody has a right to shoot at them. From all that you have brought up to us, those responsible for the killings in Imo State are state actors and non-state actors. You took time to tell us about who these state actors are, including IRS, RRT, and all those. I look forward to hearing you talk about such division or name those people who are responsible for the attacks in Imo on the side of the non-state actors. But you simply lumped them up as a non-state actors.
You are correct.
Yes, it cannot be correct to say that they are all IPOP.
No, it's okay.
But if there are non-state actors, they should be different. Who are these people? What is their aim for? What's the aim for them? doing what they are doing. And that's what I'd like to know from you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my brother. You are in order. But first of all, you are in order about your last comment, but you are not entirely in order over your first comment. From the criminological point of view, my brother, you are not 100% in order. Let me tell you, we have sympathy for defenseless civilians. We don't want to know class. IPOB or no IPOB, the important thing is defenseless. It could be you, it could be me. If it is me, they can say, I am unarmed. Everybody knows that. If it is you, he has been working for Biafran hoodlums, IPOB terrorists, and what have you. And that is class, that is criminal leveling or force leveling. And from there, and once that leveling is made, they can even destroy your house. They can trace your house in Abakaliki and mess it up. And that is what we are trying to prevent. And we are very mindful of the law. We are very, very mindful of the law. We have no sympathy. We have no apology for being knowledgeable about the law, procedures and proceedings, and processes. And that's the point we are trying to make. Trying to say we have sympathy for IPOB means joining the same security agencies in class criminalization. That is another way of class criminalizing me. It's not true. I don't care if you, I'm sure you know me very well. We have worked extensively, and you know I don't give a damn. When there was an election in Anambra State, and those chaps came up and said no election, I say it's not true. It cannot be. If you Google your internet, you will see how they say they want me to retract a statement 3 years ago, otherwise they will do this or do that. That is inter-society for you. Including others. I don't spare. Having said that, but I cannot allow you as a security officer to lay your hands on somebody who is unarmed. The law is that if somebody is IPOB member, the law is very simple. He is unarmed at the point of meeting him. If you have reasonable suspicion of the person committing a crime, he's unarmed, grab him unarmed. That's the law. The law is very simple. Grab an unarmed. If it is a theory. Grab an unarmed what? Unarmed. Grab an unarmed if he is not actively armed. You get? Then neutralize the person. Neutralize the person armed if he is actively armed. And for weapon he uses the security is using to go after the person. It's important. We are here for law, and the law is very simple and straightforward. Then that one is okay. Then coming to your second question, yes, we have 8. Yeah, that's it. Let me quickly run it. Let me familiar this. We have 8 unarmed.
What page, please?
No, that should be. They didn't number this page. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It should be in page 11 or thereabout. Imo State. Imo is home to 8 violent non-state actor entities since January 2021. Have you seen it? Yes. Then in January, Imo is home to 8 non-state actor entities, out of which 7 led the way in ongoing terrorization of defenseless citizens and their properties in the state. It has also been investigated and found that 5 of the 8 carried out their atrocities indirectly under the watch and protection of the drafted security forces and government of Imo State. Names of the 8 non-armed non-state actor entities in the state are 1. Government unknown gunmen. including political death or killer squad, who allied oftentimes allied with the Ebubeagu militias, then an armed counterfeit agitators. 2, unknown gunmen, including armed political opposition reprisal groups. 3, Ebubeagu militias. 4, Jihadists Fulani herdsmen. You know how they terrorize Okibo and what have you. And the Southeast Triangle. That's Umunochi or something like that. Then 5, Eastern Security Network, DSS. 6, counterfeit Biafra agitators. 7, private armies, rising from violent private individuals counterfeiting the Biafra agitation. And 8, violent street criminal entities. For instance, armed robbers, kidnappers for ransom, illegal oil and solid mineral mining syndicate, etc. Government unknown gunmen also involved in electioneering insecurity and other unsafe conditions, and running recruiters kidnapped for ransom cartels for government machineries. Example is Unarmed State. Whenever it is time for governorship election, you will pick up arms, shooting here and there, killing and what have you. So the people, the masterminds, we know them. They are the people that do not want the people's vote to count. Our friend governor of Anambra State won his presidency with how many thousand? 120,000. Am I wrong? 120,000 votes in a state that has 2.7 million registered voters with 2.4 million PVC holders. 120,000. Yeah. So when is Anambra election? 2025. You are a journalist. You have diaries. Write it that I say it today. 2025, I think so. Is it 2025? It's Anambra election. Next year is we are in 2023. Next year is 2024. Towards the time minute of 2024, watch out what will happen. They will be armed again, shooting, scaring people away, blah 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 blah. And security forces with their failed what have you, we now join them and creating insecurity instead of, you have to, if you are friends, if you have top security officers as your friends, especially members of the police organization, Nigerian Police Force and DSS, tell them that I said that they should go back to the drawing board. They are the reason for all this problem. They don't have intelligence. There's something in criminology we call intelligence policing. Preventive policing, criminal investigation policing, and that criminal investigation and are powered by what we call man mental machine. Machine tools. Man mental skill. Tools. They don't have. They are medicine after them. After a crime has been committed, are taking place, they will come there and start cleaning innocent people and start parading them. And yet, the same crime, because they are not smart, the people, the right people. So, make you allow me to rest. There is a handover coming up. Thank you. Okay, sorry.
I want to very comprehensive report. Sometimes I don't feel confident when you address us. This issue of counterfeit Biafra agitators, you always mention. It gives the impression that the original agitators do not commit any offense. They do not get armed, they do not, they are holy. That's number one. Secondly, Imo State, just as a case study, I thought I didn't do, is a terrible place. I'm from Imo State, from Oluku side. So I can tell you what's happening outside in that area. But again, our can never stay here alone. Do you want the intention to also carry out similar because just a leading person did address the person when he told us that as far as he's concerned, that Ebony is the worst when it comes to issue of crime and all the killings and money. I don't know. Do you are you comfortable with what's happening in Ebony? I'm not saying that what is happening in Ebony, but are you comfortable with what's happening in Ebony?
Thank you. Thank you. First question is your first question is the issue of counterfeit. No. If you go through the distance, I believe you will take time to go through the report. Everything is explained there. We call spade a spade. The ESN was formed in December 2020. There is nothing that is happening in the Southeast that we are not aware of. After that, they started anger on security forces for killing defenseless youth and their members during the time they were unarmed. You know that. Then now that anger extended to a strong suspicion that they were behind all this property attack, that is facility out of facilities. And it reached the crescendo in 2021. January 20, everything that is happening in the Southeast, we have a database. It's only the one we want to develop, we got to develop. Your friend in River State is jumping up and down, dancing. That is every man behind have any state. But when the time comes, we have a database for him. So we have database for every state. So talking now is Imo State. Imo State, I do not agree with you forensically speaking. The facts we have on the ground, you can't compare what is happening in Imo to Ebony. There are killings in Ebony, the second worst after Imo State. After Ebony, you now have Unarmed. We have the records. You get? So now, what happened in the case of counterfeit agitators? Do you know why because there are false narratives. I don't know, I've said it here before, that the government of Nigeria is running a multi-billion naira from international propaganda against the people. And that is not only about propaganda. I have privileged information where some professors told me how they chop up, is it clipping or something? All this newspaper report. Military neutralizes, blah, blah, blah. They pack them and push them internationally. Falsely, for purpose of class criminalizing, stigmatizing, and false labeling the people. Flag of operation. We have discovered that there is an entity which is somehow complicated, but under the auspices of counter-agitators. In that counterfeit agitators, I don't want to mention them. There are some of them that, say, sit down on 5 days, 6 days, and what have you. They are part of it. There are also part of them that come from subversive security operatives or entities. We have them. So under them you have, like if you talk about street criminal entities, you have more than 5 subgroups under that. You get what I mean? So now these counterfeit agitators are there. They are not only those guys that operate from Finland, no. They are also, but there is a synergy. In fact, the whole thing started, if you are not aware, when Ebubeagu was formed in 2022, is it? That was it. So Ebubeagu instrument provided an instrumentality for all these things to happen. Through the Ebubeagu, what have you, a lot of things began to happen. And some of the atrocities that are going on in Imo are coordinated through that channel, including the counterfeit agitators. Now about the original, the mainstream, we call them the mainstream. The mainstream people Because when they started this thing, just like Mao Zedong in China, when he started the principles of guerrilla warfare, 1 to 2, 3 to 4, then 4 to 5, 5 to 1, and so on and so forth. So that thing was also the case with the mainstream agitators. Well, unfortunately, they didn't know that they shouldn't have tried that at the first instance. That the federal government had cashed in on that to launch a mega international propaganda machinery against them, including enlisting them in the GTI. GTI, Global Terrorism Index of last year. It's federal government. No, I'm telling you, they were enlisted. Before they now, these guys now reacted and all that. So we are in the know of what is happening. So whenever you see inter-society and the medical members addressing you, you can't buy us. We tell you the truth and nothing but the truth. So we are not defending anybody. The height of the mainstream Biafra agitator, that is the armed wing, they must be separated from IPOB activism. You can't miss the two. The height of it took place January to December 2021. By December 2021, a policy reversal. I mean, I have Intel, I have government Intel, I have international Intel, I have a group Intel. There was a policy reversal. But by then, the federal government seems to have succeeded in their project. That's exactly what is happening. So all this smelling throat, this, that, and what have you, just like what happened in Owerri. It called for a serious investigation. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. My own question, which one is from the first speech. My name is Kenneth Ofoma of Youth Electric. I want to be clear that you say that non-state actors, state actors, which is armed forces, killed 900 unarmed civilians within this period of time with 9 months. That is number one on the first page. Yes. Then for other discussion. Then armed non-state actors. We are responsible for 700 deaths. We killed 700 people. So what I want to confirm is that the total of that 900 or 700, we now have 1,600 civilians we are killed within this period by both state actors and non-state actors. Am I right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I think that's correct. That's the position. And if you take time, if you take time to go, you will see the details.
The breakdown.
The breakdown.
The names of the
even the names of the victim, you have the section. You have the legal framework. So that it will help you people, because nobody knows it all. So that next time when you now know the legal framework, whether supporting or not supporting. You get? So that's the position. Thank you.
Any other person? I think we can close there. Gentlemen, thank you for your questions and comments. We're happy that you are here for us, and we urge you to please do what you know how to do first. Let these things circulate, so that the public will know what is happening. Thank you for coming. Thank you.
5 minutes. Okay.
Gentlemen of the press, we thank you for this visit. And what the human rights community is always doing is just like the duty of a gadfly. You sting reality into people's consciousness. And that's why we can never stay away from journalists, because we know your roles in the society. If you don't say it, nobody will say it like you people do. That is why whenever it happens, we call on you. When we release the names of those we said, of course, like you said, first of all, by December last year, 25th December, when we called in people here, we discussed and came again 19th of February, and we discussed about those things we saw were things capable of helping people to rig the election. And these things came out. And they happened as we predicted. After we gave the names of those who did the rigging. And by God's grace, 4 or 5 days ago, the U.S. Embassy not only did the Sabbath, but they included their families. And we have a lot of them. And that's what happened. So if you don't help us to disable these facts, we may not be able to let people know. And what is very important is that we are doing all these things to save ourselves. Whether we like it or not, we are the most militarized zone as it is today. If you go to the north, a lot of the places we think these things are happening, they are not as militarized as we are here. Yes, we don't have such a very serious crisis points as they do. Therefore, we must continue to talk. We must continue to protest in a civil manner. That is what I think we are doing. And if we continue to protest in this civil manner, one day people will listen. And most importantly, there was a question I think Raf asked. We have these things, as we are bringing them out, we will do the next stage of submitting them officially to these agencies that were made our pleas and prayers. So that by the time we go on, sometimes here in 2015, there was a certain police chief who masterminded the armed Biafran people. We know what he suffered, even trying to get engagements after retirement. So, what we are doing, I don't think we are just joking. We are succeeding, but they are taking gradual toll. Unfortunately, also, we have a lot of fund that this government has been spending in propaganda. Look at what the American Secretary of State, the phone conversation with the President-elect did. Unfortunately, a lot of people have been looking at it from different dimensions of trying to validate that theft of mandate. Be that as it may, people have also reached out to them, our international partners have reached out to them to condemn what he has done. And I'm sure that some things are going on. We cannot continue to sit back and bemoan our challenges here, bemoan the continuous civil war getting to 60 years now. We cannot continue to do that. We will continue to do things that are pragmatic in solving these problems. This is exactly what I am doing. And some other groups, we can't say so, but we know that the Digital Society is playing the lead role. There are some other people who are outside Nigeria who take a lot of, coup from the Digital Society, and they are doing their own things, giving their own knowledge base. And this is what is going on. And I hope that with your cooperation, with your assistance, sending out these things, the internet doesn't lie. Once people put them up now, in the next 10 years, you can get them back when these people must have been out of power and office. Because now they're suppressing things. We are aware of what, in fact, one of the things, the reportages we did here was on River State. And with names of people that were dealt with in Obibo. when that one will come now, somebody might say, what did we can do to you people that you are doing this? Maybe we are not condemning others. But this is how it is done. We must continue to do them one after the other. If we know what we are doing, I think we should take cue from what you did when they face similar challenges as we are facing. As human rights people took over and sensitized the world about their challenges all over the world. Today, the Jews are the 6th most powerful nation. They have not joined 5, but after the big 5, they are the next to come. And then the most powerful in terms of scientific breakthroughs. Just they help in getting something that when you are blind, they put the chips on you, you will be seeing everything. That's what they have announced. I think last week, they just announced. So they are doing what they are doing. It's like why today. But in the world, they have gotten the highest number of what do they call it again? Nobel prizes in all aspects because of what they are doing. And we have a lot of potential Nobel prize winners, both in science and everything, in Nigeria, especially if things are properly done. People of such things will not happen. And you don't know this. We are crying now that cancer is killing every day. This morning alone, as I was coming out of my house, I saw more than 10 persons that have been wrecked by cancer. They are begging for arms to feed. And I was like, these people will soon die. And they are happy. They are happy just people giving them money to eat. Somebody could sit here and be able to get something that will cure these things. All things beautiful. So I thank you and I keep begging for cooperation. Because if you don't cooperate with us, the world won't know what is going on. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay, I'm about leaving the place. So,